Gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the word forbidden immediately captures your attention? Perhaps it's the mystery behind it. Perhaps it's the excitement of exploring something unfamiliar. Or maybe it's the idea of sharing an experience that feels deeply intimate because it's built on complete trust rather than fear. If you've ever wondered whether certain adventurous bedroom techniques can actually bring two people closer instead of pushing them apart, then this conversation is for you. I'm Dr. Leah, and for over 15 years, I've worked with men and couples, helping them build healthier relationships, improve intimacy, and understand the science behind sexual connection. Throughout my career, I've discovered that what strengthens intimacy isn't shock value or intensity. It's communication, respect, and knowing how to create safety before anything else. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to 3 advanced intimacy techniques that many people mistakenly believe are dangerous or inappropriate. The reality is very different. When both partners willingly agree, establish clear boundaries, and genuinely care about each other's comfort, these experiences can activate powerful emotional and physical responses that strengthen trust and deepen attraction. Before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you take a moment to like the video, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I always enjoy seeing viewers from around the world, and it reminds me that conversations about healthy relationships connect people across every culture. Now, before we explore any specific technique, we need to clear up one of the biggest misconceptions I hear. Many people assume that anything considered adventurous or unconventional must automatically be disrespectful or unsafe. That's only true when there's no communication, no consent, and no concern for the other person's well-being. When those essential pieces are present, the experience becomes something entirely different, and that's exactly what we'll explore together today. So what actually makes these experiences feel so powerful when they're approached the right way? The answer isn't mystery, it's biology. During my 15 years of working with couples, I've seen one truth repeat itself over and over again. The strongest relationships aren't built by chasing excitement alone. They're built by creating an environment where both people feel completely safe to explore together. That's why every meaningful, intimate experience begins long before anyone touches each other. It starts with a conversation. Before trying anything new, sit together in a calm, relaxed setting. Talk openly about 3 things. First, what genuinely interests each of you. Second, what is completely off limits. Third, what you're both curious enough to explore together. Having this conversation removes uncertainty and replaces it with confidence. Next, agree on simple communication signals. Choose one word that means stop immediately, such as red, and another that means slow down, like yellow. These aren't signs that something is going wrong. They're tools that allow both partners to stay relaxed because they know they remain in control throughout the experience. I also encourage couples to create a simple aftercare routine before they begin. Keep water nearby, spend a few quiet minutes holding each other afterward, and ask one sincere question like, "How did that feel for you?" That conversation often becomes just as meaningful as the experience itself. From a biological perspective, this preparation matters enormously. When the brain knows it's in a safe environment with clear boundaries and predictable communication, it reduces fear while increasing feelings of trust and connection. Hormones associated with bonding begin to rise, allowing the nervous system to relax instead of remaining on guard. In other words, what many people call forbidden isn't exciting because it's risky. It's meaningful because it's explored together with honesty, patience, and mutual respect. That foundation is what makes everything else possible. Now let's move to the first technique. And despite its reputation, it's actually one of the safest ways to increase emotional and physical connection when both partners are completely comfortable. Dr. Leah calls this intentional language, or what many people casually refer to as dirty talk. Most people assume it's about saying shocking or explicit things. In reality, it's about using words that make your partner feel desired, appreciated, and emotionally present. The goal is never to embarrass or pressure her. The goal is to strengthen connection through language she genuinely enjoys hearing. The human brain responds powerfully to words, especially when they're spoken softly and paired with affectionate touch. Hearing sincere expressions of admiration while experiencing physical closeness activates emotional and reward centers in the brain. That's why the right words, spoken at the right moment, can feel just as powerful as physical touch itself. The key, however, is preparation. Before trying this, ask simple questions outside the bedroom. Find out what kinds of compliments or phrases make her feel attractive and secure. Just as importantly, ask whether there are certain words she dislikes or never wants to hear. Those conversations prevent misunderstandings and help both of you relax. When the moment arrives, keep your language connected to what's actually happening. Instead of rehearsed lines or exaggerated statements, describe what you genuinely appreciate. Tell her how beautiful she looks, how much you enjoy kissing her, or how amazing it feels to hold her close. Authentic words carry far more emotional weight than memorized phrases. Pay attention to her reactions. If she smiles, relaxes, or leans in closer, you're likely moving in the right direction. If she becomes uncomfortable or unusually quiet, pause immediately and check in. Great communication isn't about talking more. It's about listening just as carefully. When language is guided by trust, honesty, and mutual respect, it becomes one of the most powerful ways to deepen intimacy. Let's move on to the second technique, one that's often misunderstood because people focus on the action instead of the intention behind it. Dr. Leah refers to it as rhythmic touch, because when practiced with clear consent and careful communication, it becomes far more about timing and connection than force. Many people assume this technique is meant to cause pain. That's a misconception. In reality, the emphasis is on creating a gentle, predictable rhythm that blends naturally with the rest of the intimate experience. The body responds remarkably well to repeated, consistent patterns. As those sensations become synchronized with breathing, touch, and movement, the nervous system often begins responding more intensely. Before introducing this technique, always begin slowly. Spend time helping your partner relax through gentle caresses and reassuring touch. Rushing straight into anything more intense rarely creates a positive experience. When the body feels safe and relaxed, it responds very differently. If both of you have already discussed and agreed to explore this together, start with the lightest possible pressure. Watch her body language carefully. Relaxed breathing, natural movement, and positive verbal feedback are encouraging signs. On the other hand, if she becomes tense, uncomfortable, or uncertain, reduce the intensity immediately or stop altogether. Communication should never end once the experience begins. Equally important is what happens afterward. Slow things down with affectionate touch, hold each other for a few quiet moments, and check in by asking how everything felt. Those final moments reinforce trust and remind both partners that the experience was built on care rather than intensity. When approached with patience, mutual respect, and ongoing communication, this technique becomes less about physical sensation alone and more about strengthening emotional connection. The goal is never to push boundaries. The goal is to explore them together, always making your partner's comfort and well-being the highest priority. Now let's look at the third technique, and this is the one that often makes people hesitate the most before they fully understand it. Dr. Leah calls it gentle hair-based guidance. When practiced carefully, many couples describe it as one of the most emotionally connecting forms of touch rather than one of the most intense. The important distinction is that this isn't about force. It's about timing, communication, and precision. The scalp contains thousands of sensitive nerve endings, making it one of the most responsive areas of the body. When gentle traction is applied close to the base of the hair, the nervous system can register the sensation in a way that feels surprisingly immersive for some people. Combined with synchronized breathing and affectionate touch, it may heighten a person's awareness of the entire experience. However, this technique should never be spontaneous. Before trying it, discuss it openly and make sure your partner is genuinely interested. If there's any uncertainty, the answer is simply to leave it out. Mutual enthusiasm is always more important than curiosity. There are also situations where it should be avoided completely. Anyone with neck problems, recurring migraines, recent scalp injuries, certain medical conditions, or hair extensions may be better off skipping it altogether. Physical comfort should always take priority over experimentation. If both partners decide to explore it, the movement should remain slow, controlled, and gentle. The hand stays close to the scalp rather than pulling from the ends of the hair, and any guidance should follow the natural position of the head without twisting the neck. The moment discomfort appears, stop immediately and check in. As with every technique we've discussed, the experience doesn't end when the movement stops. A relaxing scalp massage, reassuring touch, and a simple conversation afterward help reinforce trust. Often, those quiet moments of care are what people remember most, because genuine intimacy is built not only through shared experiences, but through how partners care for each other before, during, and afterward. Now that we've covered the 3 techniques, I want to focus on something that's even more important than any technique itself. Dr. Leah calls this the 3 golden rules of safe intimacy. Over the past 15 years, I've learned that the happiest couples aren't the ones who constantly search for something new. They're the couples who know how to protect each other's trust while exploring together. The first rule is simple: never assume consent. Just because your partner enjoyed something once doesn't automatically mean she'll want it every time. Every intimate experience deserves its own conversation. A simple, "Are you comfortable with this?" can strengthen trust far more than any physical technique ever could. The second rule is to pay close attention to nonverbal communication. Words matter, but so does body language. Relaxed muscles, steady breathing, eye contact, and enthusiastic participation usually indicate comfort. If she suddenly becomes tense, quiet, pulls away, or seems distracted, don't ignore those signals. Pause immediately and ask how she's feeling. A caring check-in demonstrates confidence, not weakness. The third rule is understanding the importance of aftercare. Many people believe intimacy ends the moment the physical experience is over. In reality, that's often when emotional connection becomes most important. Holding each other, sharing a few reassuring words, offering water, or simply lying together quietly allows the nervous system to settle and helps both partners associate the experience with comfort and safety. These moments also create an opportunity for honest feedback. Ask what she enjoyed most, whether anything felt uncomfortable, and whether she'd like to change anything next time. Those conversations prevent misunderstandings and make future experiences even more enjoyable. At its core, unforgettable intimacy has very little to do with being adventurous. It has everything to do with making your partner feel respected, emotionally secure, and completely understood. When those needs are consistently met, trust grows naturally. And with trust comes a level of connection that no technique alone could ever create. One question I hear almost every week is this: Dr. Leah, what if something doesn't go as planned? It's an important question because even with preparation, every couple's comfort level is different. What matters most isn't avoiding every mistake. It's knowing how to respond with care and respect. If your partner says stop, becomes uncomfortable, or simply seems uncertain, stop immediately without questioning or defending yourself. Don't try to persuade her to continue or assume she'll change her mind in a few minutes. Respecting her boundaries in that moment builds far more trust than any technique ever could. Afterward, talk about the experience openly. Ask gentle questions like, was anything uncomfortable? What felt good? Or, is there anything you'd rather not try again? These conversations remove confusion and strengthen emotional safety for both partners. It's also important to recognize when a physical symptom shouldn't be ignored. If either partner experiences ongoing pain, dizziness, numbness, significant bruising, or discomfort that doesn't improve, stop experimenting and seek medical advice. Healthy intimacy should never leave someone feeling injured or frightened. Throughout my 15 years of helping couples, I've discovered something that surprises many people. The strongest relationships aren't built because one partner knows dozens of techniques. They're built because both people know how to communicate honestly, apologize when necessary, listen without becoming defensive, and place each other's well-being above their own ego. When trust becomes the foundation, intimacy naturally becomes deeper, safer, and more fulfilling. The techniques themselves are simply tools. The real secret has always been the relationship between the two people using them. So as you continue strengthening your relationship, remember this: confidence doesn't come from pushing limits. It comes from creating a space where both partners feel completely safe to be vulnerable. That's the kind of intimacy that lasts, and it's far more powerful than anything people casually describe as forbidden. As we come to the end of today's discussion, I want to leave you with what I believe is the most important lesson of all. After 15 years of working with men and couples, I've realized that unforgettable intimacy has very little to do with secret techniques. The real difference is how safe, respected, and emotionally connected two people feel with one another. Many men spend years searching for the perfect move, believing that's what creates lasting attraction. But the couples who build the deepest relationships focus on something much simpler. They communicate honestly, respect each other's boundaries, remain curious about one another, and never stop learning together. Those habits create a level of trust that no single technique can replace. If you choose to explore anything we've discussed today, let patience lead the way. Move slowly, check in often, and remember that enthusiastic consent isn't a one-time conversation. It's something that continues throughout the entire experience. A partner who feels heard and respected is far more likely to relax, enjoy herself, and associate intimacy with comfort rather than uncertainty. I also want to remind you that every relationship is unique. What feels exciting for one couple may not appeal to another, and that's perfectly normal. There is no universal formula for intimacy. The goal isn't to copy what others are doing. It's to discover what brings the two of you closer while protecting each other's emotional and physical well-being. So if there's one message I hope you remember after watching this video, it's this. The most powerful thing you can bring into the bedroom isn't a technique, it's trust. When trust is strong, communication becomes easier. When communication is honest, confidence grows. And when both people feel completely safe with one another, intimacy naturally becomes deeper, more meaningful, and far more satisfying than either of you imagined. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this discussion helpful, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more evidence-based relationship and men's health content, and share this with someone who could benefit from understanding that true intimacy is never built on fear or pressure. It's built on respect, kindness, and the willingness to grow together.